Welcome to Dynamic India. India is being reborn. Home to 17% of the world population, India is experiencing outstanding growth, and its GDP is expected to overtake that of Italy in 5 years. How is this phenomenal expansion possible? And what were the key factors in India's rise to become one of the leading economies of the world? No one can predict India's future for certain, but it is also true discussing the country's economic future cannot be done more confidently than by Indians themselves. So what do Indians think about their future? This special program will explore that question with 3 Indian experts. Our first interview with the Managing Director and COO of a major pharmaceutical company. Let's see what Satish Reddy sees as a key to growth for India.
For India, the key to growth is implementation.
This is Hyderabad, a city in south-central India and one of the country's pharmaceutical centers. Dr. Reddy's Laboratories is based here, and its managing director is Satish Reddy. There are 20,000 pharmaceutical companies in India, more than anywhere else in the world, and Dr. Reddy's is the leader in sales. Though Dr. Reddy's is now a major corporation, the founder, Satish's father Anji, started it with capital equivalent to only $40,000. Focusing on the development and sale of cheap generic drugs, Dr. Reddy's competes internationally as well as in India. Just 2 years after it was founded, Dr. Reddy's entered the world's largest market for pharmaceuticals, the United States. Today, it has sales channels, production facilities, and research labs around the globe. As a result of the remarkable growth of global companies like Dr. Reddy's, in 2009, Indian companies exported pharmaceutical products worth over $5.2 billion, more than double the figure 5 years earlier. Satish Reddy says the key to the growth of the Indian pharmaceutical industry was speedy implementation. We asked him why companies were good at implementation.
The background of the very rapid growth of Indian pharmaceutical industry can be attributed to a couple of reasons. One, I would say, is clearly the Indian Patent Act of 1970, which did not recognize product patents, but recognized only process patents. Why it helped the growth of the industry is because by being able to reverse engineer processes, companies were able to make products which were able to be launched in the country at affordable prices, and that led to the growth of the domestic industry. At the same time, they also started exporting to countries for products which went off patent, and also to countries which did not recognize patents. So that also led to increase in the exports. So both combined, I would say that it led to the growth. I think Indians have mastered that game ahead of others, so that in the whole competitive space in generics globally, Indians are able to stand up very strongly at this point of time.
Under laws introduced in India in the 1970s, simply by changing the method of production, Indian pharmaceutical firms were able to legally manufacture identical but cheaper versions of Western medicines, medicines that Western companies had invested huge sums of money to develop. But after legal amendments in 2005, Indian companies were no longer allowed to produce generic medical products until after the original patent had expired. India had lost its legal advantage. Even so, Reddy says Indian firms are already masters of rapid implementation. He is confident that India is ready to meet the next implementation challenge.
We'll also get into the same expertise in development also in the biologic space. It's a huge opportunity. It's billions of dollars coming from a few molecules. There are not too many players in this field at this point of time. Technology is extremely complex. And we believe that because of our experience in being able to launch products year after year in the Indian market, taking it on to emerging markets, we believe that we'll have a great pipeline and also the strength to compete in the global space whenever the products go off patent.
Reddy continues to emphasize rapid implementation in his own company. But what is the state of implementation at the government level?
The aggressive reforms that India needs at this point of time, that is still not happened yet. So while there are plenty of ideas and things being put forward, in terms of implementation, I think that's where still the bottleneck is. Whether it's on the education side, whether it's on the healthcare infrastructure side, or infrastructure in general, the power, the roads, and things like that, lots more needs to be implemented fast. The ideas are all there, but I think the implementation is really the bottleneck. But in spite of all its difficulties, I think the kind of opportunities that India is able to capitalize on, I think that's tremendous at this point of time. And I feel very confident that India will continue to clock the growth rates, compared to other economies.
Joining us now in the studio is Mr. Hiroshi Hirabayashi, the president of Japan-India Association. He has also served as ambassador to India. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
When I was in India as a correspondent, India's capacity of rapid implementation was very evident. And Mr. Reddy, a global executive, says the secret of the growth is implementation. Based on your many years of experience as a diplomat, would you agree with that?
Yes, I agree to his analysis. I stayed in India for 4 years and a half. And I witnessed the increasingly rapid growth of Indian economy. And it is thanks to Dr. Manmohan Singh, who started a process of reform of economy in early 1990s. And now as Prime Minister of India, Dr. Manmohan Singh is accelerating this process. And remarkable is his ability to implement the ideas or the projects. I think Mr. Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, is in the sense Mr. Implementation of India, the symbol of excellent implementation of India.
What about India's standing in international politics?
With the growth of economic prowess, India has become an excellent political power to be reckoned with in the international community. India is now a member of the so-called G20, a group of 20 most important influential countries in the world. India is now a member of East Asian Summit, and India is considered to be one of the most promising candidates to be a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, like Japan.
But as Mr. Reddy says, some aspect of the implementation at the government level is not going smoothly.
Right. The entire situation is improving, and yet there are still the continued practice of corruption among bureaucrats and politicians, and red tapes, inefficient administration of the central and the state governments. And these are the obstacles which would harass the excellent implementation by entrepreneurs, by the political leaders, and even by private citizens.
Do you see any difference of the achievement between the states?
Oh yes. There are a big difference between the rapidly developing states, thanks to excellent political leaderships, and such states which are lagging behind. Generally speaking, the southern states, for example, the state of Karnataka, is now one of the most rapidly developing states. However, in the heartland of India, along the Ganges River, there are big states like Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, which are lagging behind, owing to the bad governance, not so excellent governance.
I see. Now take a look at this. It's IMF data released in October. We can see that India's real GDP growth rate is more than 3 times that of US or Japan. India's economy continues to show robust growth. But at the same time, GDP based on purchasing power parity per capita is only 1/10 that of Japan. India is still dealing with various harsh realities as a developing country. The economy is characterized by extreme growth and extreme disparity in wealth. The two ideas seem at odds, but in India they coexist. What key can be used to unlock this apparent incompatibility? To explore this, let's see the example of Karnataka, a place in southern India where poverty and growth clearly coexist.
Karnataka is in South India. State capital Bangalore is a symbol of India's IT industry. This so-called Silicon Valley of India is a cosmopolitan city, home to more than 700 companies from around the world. It's a driving force for the Indian economy. In spite of a sluggish global economy, Bangalore is showing no sign of losing momentum. The state government announced that at the Global Investors Meet in June 2010, agreements were reached on investments worth $90 billion. The most common type of investment was related not to the IT industry, but to steel industry projects. The IT investment-friendly financial environment in Karnataka is now helping to draw out the hidden potential of aerospace, food processing, and other businesses.
Karnataka will not only continue to provide leadership in IT and BT growth of India, but also in the manufacture of steel and cement. Karnataka will also show the way for development of infrastructure through PPP route.
At the same time, though, many parts of Karnataka have not yet benefited from business development. Harish Hande felt he could do something to change this harsh reality, and so he founded a social enterprise focused on providing solar energy.
We foreigners sometimes think Karnataka is the IT advanced high-tech.
See, it's only certain parts of it. And when we talk about IT, it's only hiring only a very small percentage of the population. Yes, it's a lot of media hype, but the population you're talking about, Karnataka being 46 million, and less than couple of million if related IT industry, but it's not Karnataka. Karnataka is of people of 44 million, most of them 70% in the rural areas. Then the people who have electricity, 50% of them are suffering from power cuts anywhere between 2 to 3 hours a day to 19 hours a day. So you can imagine what the power situation is. I mean, it's actually not getting better. It's not getting better. We have plans, but I don't think so we have enough capacity to go to the rural areas to do that. And it is an issue for our development.
I see. And then you started business circle.
Right.
So could you explain what is unique?
See, it's not, I mean, in terms of uniqueness, but it's when we started this as a social business 16, 17 years ago, basically to destroy some myths that poor cannot afford technologies, poor cannot maintain technologies, and you can't run a commercial venture while trying to meet social objectives. We wanted to flip it. Today, everybody talks about poor as beneficiaries. Why should poor be called as beneficiaries? Can't poor be stakeholders? Can't poor be clients? Can't poor be the innovators, right? So we wanted to create a business where the end users are part of the business, not only, oh, we are going to do a charity and that's how they're going to develop. And that's the whole, we used sustainable energy as a way where we said we were going to provide sustainable energy services to our clients in a way that improves the quality of life. And secondly, it's going to increase their incomes so that the overall house or household and the community and the village develops, where they, see, 80% of our employees, Selco's employees, are from the villages. So you're doing a holistic, not only you're developing the end users, you're developing the employees, you're developing the company as a social enterprise which is doing a holistic development.
Selco specializes in installing solar panels on roofs and other parts of homes and buildings. With solar panels, people living in rural areas do not need to wait until electric lines or power plants are installed. They can start using electricity today. Since its founding, Selco has installed solar systems in over 100,000 households. With an average of 6 people per household, that means 600,000 more people now have access to electricity. This growth was made possible by an idea that Hyundai had based on the unique needs and strengths of rural India.
What we do is we have 21 offices in rural parts of Karnataka, and the radius is normally of offices. How long can a technician go in 2 hours? Yeah, and that's the radius of that business. And that's where these technicians would actually go to individual households, look at what the needs are, install it, and that the bank would then finance it, and the bank would then pay. That's a typical business model of ours. Doorstep service with doorstep financing. And that's what Selco's model is. India has over rest of the developing countries is that it has a very good financial network in the rural areas, which was developed because of agricultural financing in the early 70s by Mrs. Gandhi. So we are piggybacking on that banking system to get finance. When we talk about 8% growth or 9% growth, is only for a certain population of the country. It's not for the whole country. I mean, we are not doing a sustainable growth. Look at what the rural areas are. Why are half the population living less than $1 a day? Where is the trickle effect? People are talking of trickle effect. That's why people like us who actually seen the rural reality are saying that there has to be equitable growth. For India, the key to growth is removing poverty. And that's the primary thing.
For a company targeting the global market, the key word was implementation. Inside India, our attention is now being drawn to the latent potential of many people living in poverty. India seems to be changing, Mr. Hirabayashi. Previously, poverty was simply a bad thing, but now poverty is acquiring the brighter association of latent potential. What is the key to make use of this potential?
Education. I think the key word is education. This is true for every country for modernization. Japan was one of such examples of successful modernization thanks to education system. India is very reputed to have excellent Indian institutes of technology and similar institute, which may be comparable to Massachusetts Institute of Technology of Boston, for example. They produce every year hundreds of thousands of talents which are coming into IT, software engineer industry and manufacturing industries.
And what about primary education?
Yes, I think not only higher education, the basic education is indispensable, universal basic education. Poor parents cannot allow their children to go to school. Instead, they force them to work in the fields. Illiteracy rate of India is almost 30%. In order to raise the literacy rate, which is indispensable for modernization, for growth, I think the central government and the state governments have to make further efforts to promote basic education.
And what kind of change you can see now or as evident improvement?
There are many changes. For example, there is the conspicuous presence of foreign direct investment in India. Thanks to the policy of the government, the foreign direct investment has been coming into Indian society, and they bring their capital, technology, managerial skills, and many excellent practice of industry. Thanks to that, the Indian industries themselves are becoming more sophisticated, more modernized. The competitions are become universal. That are raising the standard of industrialization of India.
I see. India is seeking growth that goes beyond IT and the pharmaceutical industries, growth that includes other industries and human resources. But can this be done? Can India really join the ranks of advanced nations? To explore more on this prospect, we now listen to Mr. Hari Bhartia, the president of Confederation of Indian Industry.
For India, the key to growth is inclusion of the society and entrepreneurship.
Hari Bhartia, the president of the Confederation of Indian Industry, is also a leader of the Jubilant Bhartia Group, a conglomerate. As such, he is exploring multiple business opportunities in everything from oil field development to the manufacture of life science products. Large financial conglomerates play an important role in the Indian economy as leaders in key sectors of secondary industry, such as manufacturing and mining. Now, these conglomerates are becoming even more diverse. Bhartia's group is also in the retail business with a pizza delivery service that can interface directly with India's 1.2 billion people. This embodies the conglomerate approach in contemporary India.
The lifestyle in India is also changing. So, because husband and wife are now working in India, in the urban areas, people have less time for cooking. And pizza is a great product. It is, you can have vegetarian pizza, you can have pizza with tandoori chicken on top, you can have pizza with seafood on top. So it has flexibility, it can be designed for a particular customer. So Indian people like this product very much. And they like the service of getting it delivered at home within a certain period of time. That's why we decided to go into this business.
I see.
It founded by two brothers. It's a family business. My elder brother Shyam and myself, we founded this business. So family has invested in many ventures. So these are all separate ventures which has its own management and own growth strategies, own vision. So, and run by professionals in the different companies that they are. So the idea is that India is growing at 10%. We need different kind of products and services. See, if there is opportunity in every area, life science is very big. Oil exploration is an unlimited energy requirement in India. The food service and retail business is only 5 to 7% organized. So there is a lot of room to grow. So whenever we see a large opportunity, we invest in those areas from the family side.
Would you describe India growth as typically Indians? If so, how it is?
No, India growth is, I think, is different in a manner that it is completely entrepreneur driven. There is no top down approach. It's driven by micro enterprise, small enterprise, medium enterprise, large industries. So everybody is contributing to growth. So in my view, there is a lot of entrepreneurship in India which is driving growth. And in India there is no social security. So everybody has to be entrepreneurial to survive.
Today we heard from several Indians on the future of Indian economy. Could you share your final thoughts on today's 3 key phrases and your impression on the future of India?
My impression is that India's future is brighter and brighter. The Indian people believes in the future and they are confident of themselves. If they continue to be reminded of 3 key words, their dynamic development will be assured.
It would be interesting to know your take on today's 3 key phrases: implementation, removing poverty, and entrepreneurship, and what they reveal about India. For this special program, Dynamic India, we were joined by Mr. Hiroshi Hirabayashi, President of the Japan-India Association. Thank you for watching.